All right. Here is going to be a fun conversation about Meta Angels. We're so excited to have you come share. We love the idea of doing a fireside chat around what you and the team and the community have been developing together. Alex, can you please introduce yourself and let all the friends in the NFT.NYC community know a bit about you and Meta Angels?
Absolutely. I'm Alex Cavoulacos. I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO of Meta Angels. I'm here in New York, so I'm really excited for everyone to be coming into my hometown in just a few short weeks to really celebrate together as a community. Meta Angels is an NFT membership community, and we're centered around the values of generosity, transparency, and accessibility. And really, when Ally and I co-founded this and sort of pulled this idea together, it was, when you think about the intersection between what really is a personal brand and a membership card, really that's what a lot of these communities are in the space. What was the brand we wanted to represent ourselves, and what was the community we wanted to be a part of? And so we are all about helping people in real life. It's not just chatting about Web3 stuff. It's personally, professionally, a community of givers, and it's centered around our wishing well. That's really the heart of the community. You can come in and ask other members for help. Anything, from negotiating a job to tips on something, an introduction, what tool do they use for their mint, right? Both, whatever it might be on your mind, and that you have people who have your back. And so that's what we're building. It's been an incredible ride so far. We have an amazing community of really fantastic people, and it's only getting started.
Well, I love that. I love the focus, generosity, accessibility, and all that you want to create. It sounds like you were looking for a community and maybe you didn't find exactly what you're looking for, so you created it together. Allyson, do you want to jump in and give us some context for who you are and some of the things you're excited about with Meta Angels?
Yeah. So I'm Allyson Downey, serial entrepreneur. Have spent my entire career building communities and have been really fortunate in real life to be part of communities that have opened a lot of doors for me. And with the NFT space, we saw an opportunity to make some of those traditionally gated closed networks accessible to people globally, so they would have access to the types of support that Alex and I have been really lucky to get throughout our career. So, I'm a Techstars alum, Alex Y Combinator, we have our alumni networks, and anytime there's something that we need, we have people that we can turn to for that support and help, and wanted to make that more broadly accessible. And on the subject of accessibility, one of the things that was really important for us with Meta Angels was ensuring that if the community appreciated in value and the art appreciated in value, that people wouldn't be priced out of it. So we built into our smart contract first of its kind lending mechanism that enables holders to loan their Meta Angel to someone else while still retaining ownership of their Meta Angel, so someone else can get those community benefits. And we have a lot of holders who have 5, 10, 50 Meta Angels who have loaned them out to other people so they could be part of the community.
It sounds like it's a very collaborative community. And so, Alex, maybe you could speak to what your and Allyson's intention was and how things have developed naturally over time, and maybe how did it become a community where people want to bring others in, and the whole concept of the wishing well. So can you maybe just share a bit, like, here was our intention, and here's the cool things that have happened and been cultivated as we've become a community and galvanized together?
Absolutely. I mean, it's funny that you use the word intention. We're quite known for our mint process being centered around the whole idea of intention, not hype. And that was really how we prepared. The wishing well existed from the very beginning. It's one of the things we started with, and we were not going to mint, and we're not going to get to that point until we'd already built a community centered around that. And actually, to get access to our mint, you didn't need to grind, you didn't need to retweet, you didn't need to tag friends, you just needed to help someone else in the community. And that means really everyone who ended up minting, because we sold out in our pre-sale, everyone who ended up minting had helped someone else. And that was how we started, with the core people who already were living those values and believed in it and wanted to be part of that kind of community. There's some things that did obviously come organically from that. We actually we have a make an offer channel in addition to our make a wish, because people kept saying, I don't know if there's a wish out there, but I can help with this. I'm a career coach, happy to do a free call. I'm a lawyer if you need any help reviewing something. Whatever it might be, sharing their expertise with others. So that came just organically from the community. We have the Angels Wing is actually a virtual gallery that came from a number of artists and collectors who came together and have this large on-cyber gallery. They do weekly spaces. They highlight emerging independent artists in the space. That just came out of people meeting and connecting. It's one of my favorite things to join, and people have developed collector bases and friendships and relationships from that as well. So there's just all sorts of things that happen when there's that magic of people coming together with both the same values and the same interests.
So, Allyson, can you talk a bit about generosity? It's one of the three core values that Alex mentioned when we first started. And I mean, I'm all in on generosity in every capacity, individual, corporate. How was that a big part of this getting started? And how have you maintained a focus on generosity and not allowed the focus to veer toward greed and things that are kind of in opposition with that?
So for us, and what Alex was saying about making sure that we had shaped our mint out in a way that aligned with our values and helped us find the community members who wanted to be there. We were clear from the beginning that we were looking to build a community of people who were oriented toward giving first, who were not looking at the community as something transactional for them, that they came in with a mindset of wanting to offer value and help and support to other people. To Alex's point, we use that as the basis for our allow lists, and we continue to see it. Like, there are some instances of extraordinary generosity happening within our community. There was someone who had posted that they were looking to turn a pretty tragic personal life event into something meaningful for others, and we're working on an NFT project to help fund support for other people who had been through something like that. And we had members of our community volunteering to write their smart contract, to code their website. And it was really just out of wanting to help and uplift other people in the community.
Yep. The other thing I'll add is, when I think about generosity, I think about also building communities. There's a lot of projects right now where the value you get is when you leave them. And that to me is just so counterintuitive to the idea of creating community and being a part of something. And so we want folks to really get value from being part of it, from contributing, and from others contributing to them. And part of that is also the programs that we put in place. We've got a number of things, but one of them, for example, is our angel grants. So every single week, we give 0.25 ETH. So no strings attached grant to someone in the community. Anyone who holds a Meta Angel or who borrows a Meta Angel can apply. And people have used it for all sorts of different reasons. It allowed one family to reunite that hadn't seen each other for 2 years. A grandparent had not yet met the child. The parent applied for the grant. They're able to fly and visit family because it helped cover the costs. Someone else always wanted to writes poetry and wanted to publish a book. And there was a course that helped on, exactly that funded their course. And so for us, it's anything that would help your life, personal, professional, apply. We have all sorts of incredible, reasons people have applied for angel grants, and it's a way for us to live that generosity, and do that every single week and celebrate our community. But there's other, when we think about, we have an artist in residence program, and we set that up to be for any emerging artist in the space. And so that's also something where we can live our generosity as leaders in the space of sharing our network, our expertise, our audience, our platforms to help uplift others and set the tone, I think, in a space of how do we continue to really build something that is good, build something that is for the long term. I think all the excitement and potential of Web3 has to cut through the noise of, Twitter raids and quick pump and dumps and all the things people can think of. And there's real substance in the space. And let's celebrate that and build that together.
Has that been from the very beginning? So was that the intention, get right out, or has that developed over time? And what parts have matured and kind of become more, this is how we're doing things. This is why we're doing this. Because of course the community is going to have involvement, right? You're going to hear all the voices and all the input and all the ideas, and you're going to take that to account, not just because they're your community or your customers, but because of the decentralized nature by which these communities are built. So Allyson, you could talk a bit about how these things have forged over time, and maybe even give us a little forward thinking in terms of, are there any things that you're looking toward that you want to accomplish with the Meta Angels community that you still are waiting to kind of roll out or galvanize in that way?
Oh, always. There's so much more to come.
So Alex and I, we both spent the last decade building companies, and in the startup world, listening to your customer and building iteratively is so important. So really have taken that approach. The wishing well has remained at the heart of what we're doing, but angel grants are something that came up. I can't remember exactly what the timeline was, because what is time in Web3 anyway, but that was something that evolved. We also launched Angel Labs, which is an accelerator. We have 16 companies that are going through the program right now. And that came up in part because when we were talking to our members after we minted, heard from a lot of them that access to quality projects was one of the things that was important for them, and access to innovation. So we were able to take a lot of what we learned through our own process, and also the networks that we built over our process, and build out an accelerator that is helping companies that are really truly innovating and developing new technology within the space, giving them the leg up that is going to help them succeed.
Yeah, and the one thing I'll say is I think a lot of it does evolve over time. You listen to your community and you get the input. But I think one of the things that is important is having a really clear vision and mission and being oriented in those values, because it's what allows us to say yes or no, to explore or not get distracted. And you need a little bit of both, right? You need the serendipity and the inspiration and the input, but you also need to not be pulled left and right and end up with something that's not coherent. And so I think that's where it's been helpful. We've written a manifesto that the community knows where we stand on our values and what we stand for and what we're looking to build. And within that space, like, let's build, right? And so we have a lot. We have 6+ months worth of, partnerships and programming and things that are all in the works. And yet there will still be a lot more in those next 6 months and more that we don't know about yet. I think that's part of the fun in this space with how fast it moves, is we both have our plans, and then we have what comes up from the community, from brands, from partners, out of our own imaginations, and then we get to run with that, which is really fun.
From a practical standpoint, what tool or tools have been most helpful in cultivating community? And are there tools that have been maybe more challenging to use and leverage? There's obviously sometimes people glorify Discord and other people demonize Discord. So can you give me a little insight in terms of like these tools have been incredible. These tools have been more difficult. Here's why, because it might be good insight for others that are building communities or looking to build communities.
It's a great point. I think what's interesting, as some, we've built a lot of products, and you have to meet people where they are, right? If people are on Discord and that's where communities are being built at the moment in the space, we can't ask someone to go somewhere else, download something else, do something differently, at least at the moment. I think it's too much friction. It makes it so much harder on our members, and that's who we're centered around. So our community is based on Discord. There are pros and cons to that. I think it's wonderful to be able to connect directly 24/7 and have that community. There's some projects in the space that don't need to be on Discord because their members don't need to be talking to each other. For us, they really do, right? They need to be able to chat and build relationships and connect. And so we've worked within those constraints, because there are constraints, of course, when you're building on another platform, so that people can opt into. We have a bunch of collectives. So for example, if you work in science and medicine, or if you work in finance, or if you work in tech, you can join a specific channel that's all other folks who share that interest and chat with them, and curate your Discord a little bit so you're not just feeling overwhelmed by everything. So we have things like that to help. And then we are building out tooling to help better connect people. So they don't have to be in Discord 24/7, but that will be additive versus sort of replacing Discord, at least in the midterm, because I just can't imagine asking people, hey, go one other place. I can barely feel like I can go somewhere else, right? I'm on Twitter, I'm on email, I'm on Discord, you're texting me, I'm on Zoom, I'm on YouTube, right? Like it's too much. And we risk burning out our community as an ecosystem, not just the founders who are all, working 24/7. Community is going to be burnt out, and that's not a way to build. So we want people to feel like they can stop by 3 times a day, or once a week, or it's a busy week where they need something, and we will be there, and they can find what they need, and they can connect, and we are there for them.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on what is the thing that either you individually or you together believe about women in Web3 that may not be shared amongst the industry as a whole, because there's a lot of chatter about that whole topic. And so I just love your insights on how you view the women in Web3 topic, and maybe a perspective that you might have and talk about between the two of you or in amongst your community that maybe is not really echoed through Twitter and whatnot. So Allyson, maybe you could share your thoughts.
One of the things that was a priority for us in the very earliest days of talking about Many Angels was making sure that it was a community in which everyone felt welcome and that everyone was able to find something that was representative of themselves with their PFP. So, we are a women-led project. We are not a project that is exclusively and explicitly for women. So with the art for Meta Angels, one of the things that was important was not having any traits tied to gender. And we've seen in other projects that, because the space is so overwhelmingly male right now, that PFPs that have a feminine trait often are priced lower because there isn't that same level of demand for personal representation. So really thinking carefully and strategically about how we can, build within the constraints that we have right now, which again is an overwhelmingly male environment, while also being really inviting and welcoming and inclusive of people who are underrepresented right now in Web3.
Yep. I think what's been amazing to see is just how much NFTs have captured the imagination of all people. I think it's been one of the entry points to Web3 for many. It's certainly, when you look at the gender spectrum, it's definitely helping in terms of inclusion and just interest. But what was interesting to me as a business builder is that you're seeing a lot of women-led projects, partially because there's no gatekeeper, right? I've raised venture capital. I know the startup space. I know how you would less than 3% of venture capital goes to female-led startups, and it's not because less than that many. It's not because that's the percentage of founders that are women, companies that are women-led. It's because there's people who get to choose and they have individual bias. And so when you get to look at an industry instead, I think what becomes so interesting is any founder, regardless of gender, regardless of location, regardless of race, can create a project, a company, a collection, whatever it is that you're working. And if there's enough people who want what you're doing, you can sell directly to them and build that community. And I think it's so beautiful because if you think about gatekeepers who are overwhelmingly white, male, US based and older, they may not see that or be an ideal member or community member, but you don't need to convince them. Right. And so I think that's what's allowed this space to become much more diverse from a founder perspective or a founder's success perspective, is that they don't need to jump that extra hurdle. And it's just an incredible collaborative community. We know a ton of founders, male, female, of all genders. And that's been really incredible to see. And, they all want the same future for this space.
Besides coming to speak at NFT.NYC next month, you also have all sorts of other things planned. You want to share it with the, you want to share it with the community?
I'll let Ally share, but we always over deliver. We don't know how to do anything else. So Ally, you want to share what we have in the works?
Yeah, absolutely. So on Monday, we are kicking off with We Are Web3 Summit, which is focused on women creators and collectors, bringing them together to give them an opportunity to make a connection, a meaningful connection, before heading into the chaos that is large conferences. Again, knowing, having been to several already this year, knowing how overwhelmingly male some of these events can be, really wanted to create a landing pad for the women who are attending and help amplify their voices. So we're doing that on Monday. We have a breakfast that we are hosting with Curious Addie's Trading Club and Zen Academy on Wednesday for our holders and their holders as well. Alex, there's another dinner that we're hosting as well.
We're co-hosting a few different events and parties and things, more as, giving our community will have access to those as well. But I think really the Monday summit is the one that's going to be I mean, it's going to be a big production. It's, 4 hours speaking. There's a charity auction. There's personalized NFTs for anyone who comes. They'll get a picture taken of them and minted and airdropped to them for free from that special collection from that day. And just being able to, as Ally said, connect before an event, and especially for people coming in for the first time who may not have met a lot of people in person, it's really nice to feel like you create a little bit of that bond and those connections to navigate the rest of the week, where there will be undoubtedly a ton of programming, a ton of events. So we're really excited about both of those.
Yeah, and that event will also be streamed. So the programming for it is going to be streamed. And we've got amazing panels set up, and are just really excited about that.
Well, we're so excited to have you and your community come and be a part of the event. Really, NFT.NYC is ideally a decentralized gathering of lots and lots of different people and projects. We have kind of the main anchor for people to enjoy and be a part of, and then all these other events are built on top of it. And I'm so grateful that your community is participating in that effort. So looking forward to seeing both of you in New York, and anybody that's watching our conversation right now, thank you for your attention. We look forward to seeing you in Times Square as well, June 20th through the 23rd. Allyson, Alex, thank you so much